This is LifeStreams, capturing our history, championing kingdom values, creating a path for future generations.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to LifeStreams. Today, we have the privilege of having Sonia Rutherford with us, and we're going to be talking about our First Impressions ministry. What we mean by First Impressions is our greeters, those that are standing at the door to greet people when they come into the congregation. So, Sonia, welcome. It's so good to have you with us.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So why don't we start, Sonia, by you just sharing a little bit with us about what your experience was like when you first came to Heritage.
When I first came, there was a wonderful couple that was over First Impressions. They are still on the team today, and they just make everyone feel welcome, and they just show their love, smile. They just love meeting new people, including everyone. One of them still greets on the front door, and one of them still ushers every Sunday. He ushers. So it's just a great example of what the church family looks like.
So what I hear you saying, Sonia, is that this couple, they have a real heart for greeting people and making them feel comfortable. And we realize that's one of our really key DNA aspects at Heritage. So how was it for you when you first came?
So it's interesting because when I first came, it was my husband and myself, and we had been married 8 years, and we hadn't been in church together. We both grew up in church with our families, but we hadn't been in church together. And when we came to Heritage, it was just like we were home. It was an immediate feeling of this is where we belonged. And that feeling has not changed since then. I've had kids there, and one of them is fixing to get a job, and her main concern is, I don't want to work on Sundays because I don't want to miss church.
So Sonia, why don't you share with us what exactly does the First Impressions team do?
Not only are we on the front door greeting people as they come in, but we're having conversations in the foyer with newer people, with people that are first-time attendees. We're directing people for maybe they have children. They don't know where to go with their children. We're also, this year, starting new giveaways. We did ornaments for Christmas. We have exciting things that we're going to be doing for Easter that just ties in with the different sermons that we may be having in that time. And then not only do we have people ushering at the sanctuary doors, but we have a very large team, and they look for the new people they may have not met before and direct them to, say, our ministry leader over all the ministries, or someone in our home groups, so they can get connected in with that.
So it's interesting that you would say that. Just this last Sunday, I met a woman who was sitting in the back row, and she had been coming a couple of times, and she was so overwhelmed by people who had reached out to her since she had first come that she's now making Heritage her church. So it's not so much about Heritage, it's about the value of making people feel welcome.
Yes. So a little bit about myself. I value being included, and I know how it is going to a new place and trying to feel like it's a family that you are just meeting and trying to get into, say, an inner circle. But I feel like our church family, we do not have that. Like, we automatically are welcoming anyone new, and we are praying, loving, kind, compassionate, and just including everyone in our circles, in our home groups, and just the different sections of church. Everyone is open. There's so many places that people can volunteer. So letting people know that how to plug into those places is very important.
One of the things that I've noticed about the team is that we have a lot of seniors that are serving, people that might feel like they can't really serve anywhere else because they have physical limitations, because they're elderly. Tell us a little bit about how you form your team and any kind of training that you do with your team.
So we don't have any kind of formal training that we've put into place or anything like that. We do have meetings often, just as logistics, timing, anything that changes with the different ministries that people may need to be directed to, such as the kids ministry. Also, any new information about the church that they may need to let people know. I just try to keep everybody in the loop on the information. But that is one of the things that I'm very excited about, is that we have people from the age of 10 to some people in their 70s. And the 10-year-olds are not like on the schedule, but they just come alongside the adults, and it just shows our generational, from 10 to 70, that we have people in this ministry. And I just have a couple other things I would like to add about that, in the fact that I'm a huge extrovert. I love meeting new people, being in groups, just time with people. But there are some people on my team that are not extroverted. But we all have the same common bond, is that we love people, we have servant hearts, and we want to be the hands and feet of Jesus that just welcomes everyone.
I love that, Sonia. I love the generational aspect, and that the core value that I hear you talking about is that you love people and that your team loves people. So let me ask you a really practical question. What are some of the struggles that you have found as you give leadership to this ministry?
Well, one of the main struggles is, obviously, we use a lot of technology for our scheduling, for our communicating, and sometimes technology is not always user-friendly, and getting everyone on the same page to use the technology and the scheduling. I was having to text everyone, but then you're having group messages that people are getting multiple notifications from. And I just don't want to wear people out with those types of things. So getting everyone into this one particular app that we use was a little bit of a struggle at first, but I just tried to meet people where they were and give them instruction on how to do it. And some of my other team has come alongside and helped as well. So we really are a family and a group that helps each other out, and just took patience in that time, because in this day and time, we kind of have to use technology. It's a blessing and a curse sometimes, but it makes everything streamlined in the scheduling process.
So I would imagine that the challenges of that scheduling have to do with the older members of your team. And I can relate to that because I'm not super techie myself. And there's been times when I have really grappled with trying to learn a new program or a new app so that I can keep up with what's going on at the church. So I really appreciate your sensitivity to the older members in your group so that they don't feel left behind or that they don't feel out of the loop. That's really good. So Sonia, how did you even get interested in our First Impressions ministry?
So it's actually funny because my dad, he was a people person. He could make friends anywhere he went. He would just give the shirt off his back to anyone. He was very conversational, relational. And when I would be out in public, people would just start talking to me, like out of the blue. And I thought, okay, this is odd. I don't know why, like people just feel the need to like share their stories with me. And as a teenager, I finally started to see that it was a gift from God, that he was giving me this person. It's not even just a personality, but it is his gift to be able to touch people's lives. You never know what they're going through, or they just need a kind word or a smile or just some conversation to get through that part of their day. Well, we had went in about maybe a year at Heritage without a First Impressions leader. And I kept feeling the Holy Spirit call to me about that could be a possibility for me. I was already on the team. I was already serving there and in the nursery. But I just felt like he was saying, this is your place, but wait on my timing. So it was immediately after overflow of that year, it just kind of came to time that, God was like, oh, now it's your time to step into this. You have been through a lot of changes and you've really prayed through a lot of things. This is your place to step into now. The overwhelming love and appreciation that my team has given me just makes me feel like I'm not even the leader. We do this together. I do the logistical, but we all come together and talk about ideas and the new things that we want to do. It's just been a fantastic place for me to fit in the ministries.
Sonia, why don't you share with us any other words of advice that you would have that would help another group in forming a First Impressions team?
Well, a lot of times I have reached out to certain people that I thought might be a good fit, and in those moments, it just wasn't time for them. But then I have people, it's an organic thing. People come to me. I'm not looking for any type of one personality. Just people come to me and say, hey, I think I want to be a part of this group. A lot of people are connected. They kind of already know who they want to partner with, because usually we have two on the door. And so I get a team at once. But I do sometimes search out people. I kind of let people come to me because they know what they're comfortable with and how they want to interact with other people. Some people are very introverted, but they also want to love on the community, on anyone coming through our doors. So when they are felt led to join our group to do that, then they usually seek me out. And that's how I've gotten some people just from my home group, just hearing me talk about our First Impressions team and, what we're all about. I just let the Lord lead people to me.
It's so interesting that you would say that, because we've discovered in doing these interviews with our different ministry leaders that the underlying current with almost everybody is that they intentionally want to be led by the Lord and by the Holy Spirit. So rather than forming a plan or a program, there's a real seeking of the Lord to find out what is God wanting to say about this ministry. So I appreciate you sharing that. Even in something as practical as greeting people at the door when they first come in, there's a definite spiritual dynamic to that that we want to tap into. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we close?
I think that, as you were saying, it is a very practical thing that most churches are going to make sure that they have in place. But as any other ministry in the church, it is led by Jesus. It is exactly what his heart is how he reached masses, because he was there greeting people, smiling, touching, hugging, loving people, and meeting them where they're at. I mean, sometimes when people come in that door for the very first time, they may have just had the roughest night of their life. And we are there to show them that they are loved and that they belong.
That's awesome, Sonia. Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. I hope that you have really heard Sonia's heart as she has been sharing with us. There's a piece of God's heart that's deposited in each one of us that is intended to be reaching out, loving, giving, encouraging, welcoming. That is the heart of Jesus, and that is the heart that's behind our First Impressions ministry. So I hope you'll be able to take and use what we've shared here today, and that it will be a great blessing as you would be forming a First Impressions ministry of your own. God bless.
This is LifeStreams. If you've enjoyed today's session, be sure to like, comment, and share. And of course, you'll want to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a new episode. And would you consider becoming a part of the LifeStreams community to enable us to continue doing what we do? It's as easy as clicking on the donate link below. Thank you for joining us.